I hear the 71 gang is here. Kind of nice to reminisce, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, the old writer Thomas Wolfe said you can never go home, but a kid from Florida comes to Michigan State and plays for Duffy Daugherty and Danny Litweiler. And I look back at the choice. I had about 20 offers in Auburn and those places. And I always say I made the right choice. You know, you can come home, but coming back here is just like that.
I was going to say, at the time, with all that attention you received, why Michigan State at that time?
Well, it was the beginning of single sport emphasis, and I wanted to play football and baseball. Kid out of Florida, I was a kind of East-West quarterback, and I was going to be drafted high. Ended up first pick in the third round by Minnesota, but I wanted to play two sports, wanted to go to a university that I felt, comfortable with. And my mother and I came up here about 10 days before signing in 1966 and fell in love with it. So I came up here. People said, why did you come from Florida? Well, every time I went home, I had a car full of friends from all over going there. And a chance to play for Duffy, and my first year playing against USC and O.J. Simpson and playing at Notre Dame and all these places laid the foundation for preparation for ultimately the major leagues and the travel and playing in front of the big lights.
Nobody that I know doesn't have Duffy Daugherty stories. Do you have any that stick out that you can share?
First time we met him was Danny was giving us a tour, Mom and I, and all of a sudden Duffy shows up around the corner, and we found later it was all choreographed. And he said, Danny, is this the boy from Florida? It says Steve Garvey and Millie, and Duffy said hello, and he's talking to me, selling me, and he said, well, son, you can play football, baseball, we just want you to come here. And by the way, we got 22,000 co-eds. Ha, ha, ha. Now, my mother was a businesswoman, and she said, Mr. Daugherty, my son's coming here for an education, and he'll play one sport if he has time for another. And Duffy all of a sudden realized he was talking to the wrong person. He takes her arm and says, now, Millie, come with me. Takes her to the office, gone 15 minutes. They both come back, and she said, well, Steve, he said, we've got to consider Michigan State. I think this is your place. So he sold the right person ultimately. And it was through the blessings of God, turned out to be the right place.
And you said you never regret. When you come back here, do you look around campus? I know it looks a little different, doesn't it?
I do, yeah. And everything changes over 50 years. But it's been for the good. So proud of keeping the mission of what Michigan State is, the will of the school and the people, and to be able to be an ambassador around the world. I've traveled to Russia and South America and Europe and Asia as an ambassador for baseball and sports, but always people ask, where'd you go to school? Michigan State. They said, oh, is that the with the yellow M? I said, no, those are people who couldn't get into Michigan State. And we always kid about it, but I think that's what you do in life. God gives us free will and choice. You choose, and for me it was a blessing, and then again carry the torch.
You watch a lot of Major League Baseball today or not?
I do. I do some consulting for the Dodgers and good friendship with the Padres, and I get to about a game or so each homestand and turn it on TV. It's always been part of my life, big part.
Yeah. I know you sat with Gibby the other night. You were on the other end of the '84 series. What do you remember about that series and about that day that Gibby stole the show?
Well, I remember when our manager was Dick Williams. And if you remember, it was a crucial situation. He goes to take Gossage out. And Goose was pretty adamant. I've still got it. I'm going to get this guy out. And Dick Williams, first time I ever saw, gave in to him. And, of course, within a pitch or two, he hits one in the second deck. And I'm looking in at Williams, and he's just livid. But he can't say anything because he left him in. And that was the turning point in the season. But to have been a part of the Padres, to have beaten the Cubs, and I hit a walk-off in Game 4, which was the greatest moment in San Diego history, and then go to the World Series was memorable.
I know you're not impartial because you're a Dodger at heart, but can this continue, or are we headed toward labor strife when they sign all the players?
Well, I just listened to the head of the Players Association the other day, Tony Clark, and it's going to be a contentious, as are most of the basic agreements, but this one because of the magnitude of the economics, and you're starting to see contracts in the hundreds of millions, and of course the owners always want to keep as much for themselves. There's a possibility of a stoppage, but it would be bad for the game, be bad for the fans, And Tony said, "Can I talk to you?" I was on the front line of the first negotiations with Marvin Miller in 1970-71. So, and I was a player then. So, will it be contentious? Yes. Do I hope it'll be managed for the sake of the game and the people? And I think it will.